The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning. On behalf of the staff and partners of the Northern Virginia Housing Expo, I'd like to welcome you to today's workshop on local COVID-19 rental assistance programs. As we know, there's a critical need for assistance due to economic impacts of COVID-19, and we're very pleased to be joined by representatives from throughout Northern Virginia to share very important information about available assistance and how residents across the region can access help. My name is Ben Boxer, and I'm representing the Fairfax County Department of Housing and Community Development, and I'll be moderating this session. As we begin, I'd like to point out the question mark that appears on the right side of your participant display. As you have questions, we would ask that you submit them by clicking that question mark and typing in your question. After each presentation, we'll take some time for each presenter to address as many questions as time will permit. We will be recording this session, and it will be made available on social media and on the Nova Housing Expo website for future reference. So without any further ado, I'd like to begin by turning the time to our first presenter of the morning, Senta Gori, the Associate Director of Eviction Prevention with the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development. Welcome, Senta.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Can you all see this presentation can you all see this presentation okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Senta.
Great. So thank you for the introduction, Ben. As mentioned, I'm Senta Gori. I'm the Associate Director of Eviction Prevention for the Commonwealth. I am directing the statewide rent and mortgage relief program, which is what I'll focus on in today's presentation. Before getting into the details of the program, I do just want to contextualize it for our audience. Back in 2016, Matthew Desmond and the New York Times published a front page article which revealed the Commonwealth of Virginia as sadly being home to 5 of the top 10 highest evicting cities in the country. Our average eviction rate here in Virginia is about twice the size of the national average. So prior to COVID-19, evictions were already a very high priority for the governor and his administration. There was legislation and other pilot programming in the works, and when COVID hit, those programs and pieces of legislation were set aside so that we could focus on an emergency rent relief program that would meet the needs of Virginians during the pandemic. As I begin to talk about the details of the program, it will be made clear that one of the eligibility pieces is that you've experienced a loss of income due to COVID-19. The program is designed really as a public health program, knowing that people cannot shelter in place without a place to live. So while we've long understood housing as foundational to success in all areas of life, in this context, it is a matter of public health. So the rent and mortgage relief program has really 3 core eligibility requirements. The first is that a household's current gross income must be at or below 80% of area median income. The second is that your rent or mortgage cannot exceed 150% of fair market rent. And as I mentioned earlier, a household must demonstrate an inability to make rent or mortgage payments due to COVID-19. I want to take a moment to talk about that third eligibility requirement. While the other 2 are really set in stone, the third is not prescriptive and is intended to cast a really wide net. Someone's inability to make rent or mortgage due to COVID could of course be because they've lost a job or experienced a reduction in hours. But we have a non-exhaustive list of other, what that could mean in other circumstances. So for example, if you receive child support and your child's other parent has experienced a loss of income, that would qualify you. Even if you lost a job prior to the pandemic but have been unable to find work again because of the job market in the context of the pandemic, that would qualify you. It's also not only limited to a loss of income, it can include higher expenses. So for parents whose childcare has gone up because they need to be out of the home to work, but their children are not in school, that's another acceptable use. So we try to really screen people in rather than screen people out for this program. There are two ways that people can apply for rent relief. I should say too, excuse me, so for folks who meet these eligibility requirements, our rent and mortgage relief program pays for 100% of someone's rent or mortgage dating back to April 1st to current. We have no limit to the number of months that someone can be eligible or the number of times that someone can return for additional assistance. I will say on the mortgage piece, if you are currently in forbearance or eligible for forbearance, we cannot provide assistance to you, but if you do, if you can prove that you have been denied or are ineligible for forbearance, this program can assist you. Another word about the income piece. If you are a family of 3 or less and you access programs like TANF, WIC, SNAP, LIHEAP, we can automatically certify you as income eligible just with a letter or other document certifying that you participate in one of those programs. If you have zero income, we have a zero income certification form, so you can self-certify that you have no income as well. So for tenants and homeowners, the Rent and Mortgage Relief Program is statewide. Anyone eligible in the Commonwealth can apply. We have 2 doors to the program, and I'm going to talk about the first one now and the second one right after this. So tenants and homeowners can initiate the application process through the RMRP Support Center. That can be done online or by phone. I do want to mention that the telephone lines are incredibly overwhelmed at this point. Just this past week, we started off the week on Monday with the support center receiving more than 7,000 phone calls, and those are just the phone calls from that day. They don't include the applications that were submitted online. So if you have access to the internet and are able to apply online, I strongly encourage you to do that. The phone lines, the staff at the RMRP Support Center are currently doubling the number of people who are there answering phones. So we're actively working to increase capacity so that we can meet demand. But an online application will be processed faster than an application that you submit by telephone. The vast majority of the people who work at the RMRP Support Center are bilingual, most of them speaking both English and Spanish. We also have access to a translation line with more than 80 languages available as well. And then for landlords can also apply on behalf of tenants through Virginia Housing, through this online link you see here. And I understand these PowerPoints will be shared with all of you after this is over. So you'll have these links available to you. This web portal here is available only to landlords. If you are a landlord or if you're a tenant, I would encourage you to use this landlord portal first. It's less overwhelmed than the tenant and homeowner portal I just spoke about, and you're likely to receive payment fastest using this method. It's also particularly helpful for landlords who own more than one property, because a landlord can go into the portal and establish their account there and be able to receive assistance quickly and efficiently for more than one property. I'm not going to get in, I'm not a lawyer and can't provide any legal advice, so I don't want to get too far into some of the landlord and tenant rights and responsibilities. But I will say that during the pandemic, landlords will be unable to evict in the Commonwealth of Virginia if they have not agreed to participate in one rental assistance program or another. I'm today speaking on behalf of this statewide program. So sometimes we have landlords that are unwilling to participate. They're often, their willingness to participate often increases when they realize that there's a portal for landlords specifically. Virginia Housing is a known entity to many landlords, and they feel more comfortable using that pathway. But landlords are unable to evict at the moment if they refuse to participate in a rental assistance program. And then I just wanted to share a few other resources. You can quickly find out whether or not you may be eligible for the Rent and Mortgage Relief Program at this link before you now. You can also call 211, which can help you determine your eligibility for the program. I did mention some of the, tenant rights, tenant and landlord rights and responsibilities, and those are outlined in greater detail on the Stay Home Virginia website, particularly the second Stay Home Virginia link you see there, /renters. The homepage for Stay Home Virginia also has many other resources outside of just the Rent and Mortgage Relief Program. So if you have other needs that need to be met, I would encourage you to check out that homepage. And then, of course, anyone who needs legal assistance and income qualifies should call the Northern Virginia Legal Services, and I've included that link and phone number there. And then finally, this is the contact information for me, and I welcome any questions by email or phone. I'm typically more responsive to emails than I am to phone, but will return phone calls as well. And then my colleague who helps me manage this program is Elisha Herrig Blaine, and he and I are both more than willing to answer any questions or provide any assistance folks might need in applying for our program. And that is all I have. I'd be happy to answer other questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nenta. We do have one question in the chat, or I guess it's a two-parter. The first question is, what amount is exactly 80% below? He's referencing the first requirement. So he's looking at the exact amount that 80% below is. And then there's a follow-up to that. Does the qualification letter for free reduced lunch from public school qualify for income, for the income portion?
Good questions. And I don't know how to stop sharing my screen, but I have the PowerPoint down now. The area median income qualification depends on where you live. If you go to that eligibility link that I shared, or call 211 if the web doesn't work for you, they can help you determine whether or not your income qualifies. The question about free and reduced lunch, that program, that category is not specifically included, although we can certainly add that. But I don't know the program well enough to know if you receive free and reduced lunch, does that mean you're also receiving WIC or SNAP? I don't know. But I am more than happy to take the free or reduced lunch idea back to the team, and if the numbers work, we'll add it. We're always looking for ways to make this a more accessible program.
Thank you. Thank you for those answers. And thank you for the wonderful questions. We really appreciate it. Just a reminder to all of our participants, as you have questions, please submit them using the question mark application that you see on the display screen. And we again thank Senta for joining us this morning. And we'll be happy to maybe see if we can circle back if time allows for any additional questions. But we would certainly refer any participants interested in state resources to those references that Senta has shared, those websites and email that she has shared in her presentation. And you can refer back to this video for that information as well following the presentation. So thank you, Senta, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We'd like to introduce our next presenter. We'll be joined right now by Genevieve Fields. She is a community services coordinator from the Office of Community Services in the City of Alexandria. Welcome, Genevieve. We'll turn the time over to you.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you for having me. I would like to talk a little bit about some of the rental assistance resources in the City of Alexandria. As Ben mentioned, I'm the Community Services Coordinator with the Office of Community Services. So that's part of our Department of Community and Human Services in the City Government of Alexandria. Let me just give you a little bit of overview and context of just kind of who we are. So we're part of the Center for Economic Support. So we're in the same program area as Public Benefits and Workforce Development. We serve as the lead agency for the Homeless Services Continuum of Care in Alexandria, and we also are the designated community action agency in Alexandria. So we provide services to those on the continuum having any kind of housing crisis, whether it be inability to pay rent or all the way up to eviction and experiencing literal homelessness. So we have staff in our office that do screening for emergency shelter, but also rental assistance to sort of prevent evictions and prevent people from experiencing homelessness as well. So the emergency rental assistance that we have is typically a short-term intervention to help people regain their housing stability. Of course, with COVID-19, short-term has kind of taken on a different definition because we know that people are experiencing a lot of difficulty due to the economic impacts of COVID-19. So we really don't have a specific limit right now on the amount of assistance we can provide. We do have limitations on the resources that we have, but we're working with the state program that Senta was just talking about to try to make sure that everybody's need for rental assistance is met. Sometimes we provide kind of ongoing, more intensive case management services to some households who may be in need of that. Most of the emergency rental assistance we have is provided in response to a crisis or loss of income, and the payments that we issue are issued directly to landlords for rent owed, for arrears and current rent for eligible households. We have a variety of funding streams that our office has access to. So we have some local funds, we have some federal funds, and some state funds. And so I didn't put too much about eligibility on here just because, I don't want it to sort of pre-screen themselves out, based on any one program's requirements. We do, when Senta was talking about the 80% of AMI, that's probably kind of the highest, ceiling that we could look at, but we also work with a lot of community partners. So again, when people call us for emergency assistance, we really try to just make a plan that works for that household using whatever resources we have available. So of course we've seen the impact of COVID-19 on our programs. We've seen a large increase in demand for services. We've seen that there are more residents now eligible because folks have lost income or their income may have decreased as a result of COVID, of job loss, or some of the things Senta was mentioning too about, having to pay childcare expenses. And we found that people need longer term assistance to stabilize their housing. So we're kind of in a state of flux, making sure that we can meet those needs with the resources available to us. Another thing that has changed in addition to the need increasing is more resources are available for rental assistance. We've modified our assessment process a bit to expedite the assistance and increase capacity. So some of the assessment that we're doing, our workers who assess for rental assistance, they're just collecting the information that they absolutely need to assess eligibility, and some of the other more thorough and deeper assessment we were doing, we've put on hold a little bit to make sure that we can meet the need. The service delivery, we've changed to doing that virtually versus in person. We used to have in-person appointments prior to COVID, so now we are doing appointments virtually, and we're also gathering documents and verifications virtually by whatever means a household has to do that. We do have some residents of Alexandria that don't have email or aren't able to get us things electronically. There is an outdoor Dropbox available at our office for people to drop those things off. So we just try to work with whatever someone's situation is, they can submit the documentation that way. So the things that are the same that haven't changed is residents still call this DCHS customer call center number to request rental assistance. We're continuing to have partnership to work with our community partners that are part of faith-based and the nonprofit community, as well as other city agencies. And this has really even increased in the past year. We've formed an eviction prevention task force made up of lots of different city agencies and community partners to address evictions and how to prevent those in the city of Alexandria. We still have ongoing case management services available that are specifically around housing, but we can also help households to get connected to other resources within DCHS in the city. This is the customer call center phone number, and there's also a link on, or a page on the city website with resources to meet needs for those impacted by COVID-19. So it has housing, resources and other resources within DCHS for basic needs. And this is my information. I can be reached by phone or by email if there are any questions about services or about our programs. So again, this number here is the customer call center. So if you're seeking rental assistance, if you're seeking assistance from our agency, you would call this 5700 number. And then if you have questions about services or things like that, you can give me a call or send me an email. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I apologize for the brief interruption a second ago, but I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you very much, Genevieve. That's the realities of working from home and virtual meetings. So not a problem at all. Thank you for joining us and for sharing this information with us. We do have a question in the chat. Given the timing of the question, I don't know if it relates to your content or Senta, but I just wanted to throw it out to you or anyone on the panel if anyone knows the answer to this question. Does SNAP approval remove the requirement to give proof of income when it comes to receiving? I think this related back to the previous question addressed after the last presentation. Do you know the answer to that question at all?
Well, I think for RMRB, and Senta, you can jump in if I misspeak about this, but for RMRP, I think what they were saying is that if you are a recipient of SNAP and you have a letter certifying that, you can submit that to their program for proof of income eligibility. And then for our programs, we're in the same space, even though most people are working virtually. We're in the same center with public benefits, and we work very closely with them. So we absolutely can get information from someone's benefits worker about their SNAP case, and they might have verifications we need for income, and we can work to do that. So we also can utilize that information in determining eligibility as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that information, Genevieve. Again, we thank you for joining us, and invite everyone to please reach out via email or via the website for any additional questions you have related to the City of Alexandria programs. Excellent.
Thank you so much.
All right. We're pleased next to be joined by Nicole Harmon. She is the Housing Bureau Chief with the Arlington County Department of Human Services. Nicole, I believe you're on mute, or your sound doesn't come. There it is.
As much as you prefer. All right. Good morning. I want to thank you all for inviting me today to the Housing Expo. My name is Nicole Harmon, as previously mentioned. I am the Housing Assistance Bureau Chief for Arlington County Department of Human Services, where I oversee all of Arlington's housing rental subsidy programs and homeless services programs. So I'm going to provide an overview of our housing programs and services that we offer here in Arlington County, particularly for our moderate to low income residents. There you go. All right, so the county uniquely offers a locally funded housing grant program. To qualify for this program, applicants must be a working family with minor children or a senior that's age 65 and older. You may qualify on the basis of a disability where you are totally or permanently disabled, or you're connected to a Arlington County behavioral health program or our division. With our housing grant program, there is a tenant contribution where 40% of your income is expected to complement the housing grant that we provide. There are income and asset levels, and one of the draws to the housing grant program is that this is a client benefit. Therefore, it is a client check that we provide to the household directly. So there is nothing that a landlord needs to do to qualify for the program. There's no inspections such as HQS that we mandate for this program. Okay. Another benefit of this program is that it's open. Unlike a housing choice voucher program, there's no wait list. Applicants, particularly Arlington residents, can apply at any time. It does take us up to 60 days to process an application. During that application, applicants are either expected to reside in Arlington County, or within the 60-day period where we're verifying income and assets information. If you're able to obtain a lease within the 60 days of your application, and that's able to be verified, you will qualify for the program. Again, as I mentioned, this is a client benefit check or program. So the benefit will come in the form of a check to the client. The client is expected to endorse that check because it will have not only the household's name on the check, but also the landlord. So it's a two-party check. You endorse the check, you supply that to the landlord along with the household's contribution, which is 40% of their income that I previously mentioned. So we set the housing grant program with maximum allowable rents by household size. And not by bedroom size. So this is another benefit to this program. Here's just sort of a snapshot of by household size, the maximum allowable rents that are set. These maximum allowable rents are subject to adjustments annually, which is a great benefit to those that are currently participating in our program, because as rents increase, we're able to right size and adjust our subsidy to correspond with how the market fluctuates. All right, so Arlington also runs a housing choice voucher program. While Arlington County does not provide public housing or does not have public housing stock, we are recognized by the Department of Housing and Urban Development as a public housing authority. So 100% of our HCVP program is federally funded. Our larger wait list, the last time we opened our wait list was in 2012. We are expected within either the next several months or so to reopen our waiting list to the public again. And to qualify for this program, there's income allowance where renters will have incomes below 50% of the AMI. There's also a tenant contribution, which is 30% of their income. And Arlington and applicants must either live or work in Arlington at the time of application or at the time that the voucher is issued. So while you may apply from other jurisdictions, in fact, other states, we do require within our policy that the first year of you lease your voucher, you reside in Arlington. And then finally, to qualify, at least one household member must qualify on the basis of citizenship or the eligible immigrant status. And here's just a snapshot of some of the diverse voucher types that we offer in Arlington County. We've got vouchers that are specifically targeted for children who may be exiting the foster care system, or children who are aging out of the foster care system, looking to seek for affordable housing in the area that they've been raised. We provide vouchers for veterans as well as seniors, individuals and their families that may be homeless, disabled, or exiting certain restrictive institutions. So there are a number of voucher types that we offer. Any one of these waiting lists can be opened up at any time. So we continue to update the public whenever a wait list opens for any of our targeted voucher types. Arlington County announces that publicly. Another program that the county offers is Permanent Supportive Housing Program. This program is specifically for persons with disabilities who need housing supports in order to obtain and maintain housing within the community. Our program is funded through a hybrid of funding sources from the county as well as at the state level. Under this program, there is also a tenant contribution where the tenant pays up to 30% of their income towards rent. In order to qualify for this program, applicants must be referred by a clinical case manager that is connected to an Arlington County Department of Human Services. There are built-in community supports and case management that DHS provides the clients who participate in this program. We also have a number of units or apartment units with housing providers throughout the county that supply us apartments that we're able to then move participants in. So we identify those units, we do the placements, we help with the moving, security costs, the application process, and as well as any additional housing supports for the individual or the families that are placed for any tenant-related issues or maintenance areas that we'll assist with at the county. Currently, our program is rapidly growing. There is a wait list for this program, but we continue to accept referrals from our clinical case management staff. We've got over 300 participants currently in scattered site apartments in Arlington County supported through this program. Okay, so another one of our resources in addition to our housing rental subsidy program is our emergency rental and financial assistance resources that Arlington County offers. We partner with Arlington Thrive, and they serve as our fiscal agent and partner to provide same-day emergency financial assistance to residents who experience a sudden financial crisis, such as temporary unemployment or an illness. This is a visual model of really how our system works. And through the help of Arlington County's continuum of care, we've transformed our service delivery process during the implementation of our 10-year plan to end homelessness. And so our central access system sort of works like this. Once you call us and you contact us through our 1300 number, you're immediately moved through our central access system, where we're able to provide you access to services across the entire county of Arlington. We match households as quickly as possible with the interventions that will most effectively and efficiently either prevent an eviction, if the household is currently facing an eviction with a writ, or our goal is always to prevent homelessness and lead households to stability. So there are interventions include a series of tactics through our clinical human services support liaisons who are at the front door, where we'll engage in interventions such as targeted prevention and diversion. And these are just efforts to provide services to our at-risk households to ways that we can divert and prevent homelessness. And so that could be accompanied with financial assistance. It could also be accompanied with how we may be able to get you into mainstream resources connected to rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing that I formerly mentioned. And our last resort option would be a connection to shelters if that is sort of suited to stabilize the emergency at that time. So in terms of access for our eviction prevention and emergency assistance, the number that I mentioned on the prior screen is the first stop. Is the first step in terms of getting connected to our resources and services that Arlington provides. What to bring in terms of documentation now that we are operating through assistance at a distance. We have on-call call center providers that are able to take this information, if not in person or dropped off at DHS. We've got structured email accounts that are set up so that we can take picture IDs. We'll have to have documentation of all proof of incomes from different sources, depending on which resource we may need to pair with the household and what the distress is. This at minimum is the resources that you would need to qualify. So what to expect, again, it's our human services clinicians will help do the interventions. We'll perform a comprehensive uniform assessment that assesses the needs beyond eviction prevention. And we'll determine the level and the need of assistance based on the eligibility of the household and the expected outcomes, and then the connection to whatever the mainstream benefits and resources that we provide. All right. So in closing, I'm sharing with you sort of our data metrics around our financial assistance and eviction prevention efforts that are now live on our Arlington County website. At the bottom, I've sort of left the URL address directly. Given the impact that COVID-19 has had on many residents across Northern Virginia, we put together sort of a quarterly reporting update to share our trends publicly. So this most recent quarter this is data through September 2020. In total, we have served 2.3 million households through our emergency rental assistance and eviction prevention resources, and that equates to over 4.5 million in terms of dollars that we've administered through our end of quarter one. And also through that data tool, there's some other metrics in terms of where we're tracking evictions. Here's also sort of a snapshot of sort of the heat heat map within Arlington County in terms of where households are coming in from by zip code requesting assistance. And these are trends that we're certainly actively paying attention to, as well as the characteristics and demographics of our residents seeking services, particularly during the COVID pandemic. So URL is mentioned here, I believe. Additional contact information for Arlington County government was supplied. And I will turn it back over to you, Benjamin.
Thank you so much for that wonderful information, the presentation. I don't see any new questions in the chat that require answers at this point. So again, thank you for joining us, and I'm very pleased to turn the time over to our next presenter, Dana Lewis, who is the Deputy Director in the City of Falls Church Department of Human Services, the Housing and Human Services Division. Dana, the time is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dana Lewis, and I am the Deputy Human Services Director for the City of Falls Church. And I'm just going to give you some information about our COVID resources. Even though we're a small locality, we only have about 15,000 people in the city. We're about 2.2 square miles. We still have a lot of people that have need. And we are currently paying about 67 residents assisting with their rent, and they are all affected by COVID. And so we do have resources available. We're limited as far as we don't have the same amount of rental resources as some of the larger localities, but we are assisting residents who qualify with COVID rent. And like I said, we've so far have spent about $400,000 since April providing rent to those 67 unduplicated persons. And so, as I said, we don't have a lot of resources, but I'm going to go over what we do have. And then here's my information if any of you have any questions for me. So this is our flyer on our emergency financial assistance program, and we're not just providing assistance with rent, we also have assistance for utilities and food if persons require it. So the qualifications are that you must be a City of Falls Church resident, and you have to have been directly impacted by the pandemic, pretty similar to all of the other programs. And then, but we're flexible, and so we'll consider other situations on a case-by-case basis. So the main thing that we ask is that before you apply for assistance, you must have contacted your landlord to request modified payment arrangements. We're pretty lucky in the city that we have close contact with pretty much all of the property managers in the city. All of them have been very flexible, and I would say the majority of people, referrals that we receive come directly from the property managers. So we ask that you try to set up some type of payment arrangement with them, which most of them have been flexible, like I said. So if you have not been granted that modified payment, because we know even if you get a modified payment, that those payments are going to add up. So contact our office and we will do our best to provide assistance. You must be a resident of the City of Falls Church, and like I said, you must have been directly impacted by COVID-19, and you're going to have to show documentation, and the application will go over that. So if you have a loss of work hours, you're going to have to prove that. If you've lost your job because of COVID, then you would have to prove that. And then we have some people who maybe one parent has to do less hours because of virtual schooling. They have several kids in the house and they have to stay home. We're understanding of all of those things. So you would just need to contact us and we would provide the assistance. And then, like I said, we also have utility assistance. We have about 70 city residents who are behind on their utility bills, so that all of our assistance is wrapped up into one program so that you can contact us and we can provide that assistance. And that is pretty much our program. Like I said, we're trying to be flexible, so just contact our office at the number provided or email us and we will send you the application, and then we will pay the landlord. Once you've been approved to receive assistance, we will provide payment directly to the landlord. We do have bilingual capabilities. So does anyone have any questions about our program?
Thank you, Dana. At this point, looking at the chat, we don't see, or the question panel, we don't see any questions that have come in. We really appreciate the overview information of your programs. Again, there have been some questions related to how to access these presentations. And again, we will be putting these online and they will be rebroadcast later this afternoon on the NOVA Housing Expo's Facebook page. And we'll go over that again at the end of our session. Seeing and hearing no additional questions, we'd like to thank Dana for joining us. And we'd like to introduce our next presenter, Amy Garcia, who is the Program Manager of Coordinated Services Planning with Fairfax County's Department of Neighborhood and Community Services. Amy, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. I don't believe my screen is showing.
I do see it. We see it, Amy.
Okay, very good. So thank you for allowing me to join today. And I am from Neighborhood and Community Services and Coordinated Services Planning. Coordinated Services Planning was established in 1997 to be able to provide efficient and coordinated access to community-based and public human services. This access is provided through a unique system of social work services being delivered in a call center environment. CSP coordinates with Fairfax County, community-based organizations, nonprofits, faith-based organizations to connect community members with the resources that promote both self-sufficiency and enhance well-being. CSP provides callers direct access to a specialist who will listen to the expressed need, assess the situation, explore possible short and long-term solutions, and coordinate resources within the community. So CSP is in 5 teams of specialists within the human services regions. Calls are answered by an available specialist, regardless of where the community member is located. The call will route to whomever is available at that time. We have 2 intake lines. One is dedicated for English and the other is dedicated for Spanish. We're very fortunate to have a very diverse workforce, and we have a bilingual specialist, and the languages that are available that we have on staff are Amharic, Arabic, Dari, Cantonese, Mandarin Chinese, Creole French, Farsi, Hindi, Italian, Kannada, Korean, Pashto, Punjabi, Somali, Spanish, Tamil, Tigrinya, and Urdu. And then all other languages, we use a language interpretation service to be able to communicate with community members. And so language is not a barrier to being able to interact with us. Our hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, and our phone number is 703-222-0880. CSP serves individuals, families, human services professionals, anyone that is seeking information and referral. Some services are, of course, limited to Fairfax County community members. Specific services may have income requirements that are involved with accessing those services, as we've talked about, particularly with the rental assistance programs. And then callers from other jurisdictions are directed to their local information and referral agency, or 211 Virginia for connection to community services, as that's available Monday through Friday, 24 hours. So a little bit about what to expect when a community member contacts us. A specialist is going to answer the call and complete a broad-based assessment and service plan with the community member. And this is done to get a better understanding of the identified needs that the community member is sharing with us, as well as identifying those underlying issues that may also be contributing to the challenge that that household is experiencing. The length of the call can vary anywhere from a few minutes for an information and referral call up to 30 to 40 minutes for callers with multiple needs. In the course of that conversation, you're going to talk about things that are related to the expressed need, in addition to getting an understanding of what that household composition is, the financial posture of the household, as well as any services that they may be connected to, again, in an effort to have a fuller understanding of what supports and resources might best assist the household with the immediate and also kind of their long-term or their future goals, and doing this from a strength-based perspective. So recognizing the things that individuals or households have successfully been able to do to navigate through similar situations, and using that to be able to assist them in navigating the current circumstance. The community member information, including the assessment, the service plan, the needs and the outcomes, and the referral sources, that they are all be documented in our SIS database, and we gather consent from the community member in order to be able to include their information and explain to them how that information is used to connect with our partners that we work with to help support those needs. Depending on the need, there'll be some documentation that may be requested, similar to the other presenters in regards to verifying income, for instance, would be an example. And this is just to show how coordinated services planning is positioned within the health and human services organizations. So CSP collaborates in order to provide assistance with financial assistance, with rent, utilities, security deposit, in some instances moving and storage, emergency food, clothing, furniture, or household items. We coordinate with the homeless services within Fairfax County, specifically with families. And then there's a separate program for single adults, and they make that coordination through their homeless services STARS assessment process. We also assist with linkages to resources for prescriptions, hearing aids, and oral health. And largely, most of our referrals are sent electronically to the organizations that we collaborate with in order to meet the needs of the individuals we're working with. So this is our community-based organization map, which is available on our landing page. But this just shows some of the partners that we coordinate with, and then on in those instances where you see our phone number listed, the 703-222-0880 phone number, that's because we are the primary screener for that particular organization. And then the bordering lines that you see in green, that shows the service area for those particular organizations. And then some of our partners are able to offer additional assistance to community members that live outside of their particular area. And then what you see displayed here is our URL that will take you to our landing page.
Thank you so much for sharing that wonderful information, Amy. We really appreciate you joining us. We don't see any new questions in the chat, so we'll go ahead and proceed to our next presenter. I'd like to introduce Fran Coughlin, Program Manager for Community Services and Outreach with the Department of Family Services in Loudoun County. Time is yours, Fran.
Thank you, Ben. Good morning, everyone. Actually, it's almost good afternoon, everyone. So my name's Fran Coughlin, and I am from Loudoun County Department of Family Services. So I'm here today to talk a little bit about strictly just our rental assistance program as it relates to the COVID-19 outbreak that we've experienced in the last several months. Just to give you a quick overview, we started the program back in April. The finance mostly through local funds that we had available. We started using CARE funding in June when that became available, and continue to use that funding to be able to help and assist residents in our county in need of rental assistance. To talk a little bit about what we've done so far, we've helped over 1,200 different households. We have provided $1.7 million in terms of rental assistance to date. So the COVID-19 rental assistance program is established through Loudoun County government, operated through Loudoun County Department of Family Services. It's strictly related to those who are in need of assistance related to impact from COVID-19. The households can apply either through our website, which is an electronic portal, or they can ask for a paper application, and there's a number in there that folks can call. That is our information referral line that will be able to provide folks who need a paper application mailed to them. The good thing about our online application process is that it immediately sends the application to our portal. The applicant can also download the required information and documentation right into that, so they don't need to worry about continuing to scan or send documentation to us. We can get that information right off the portal that is available. I'll have that information at the end of my presentation. And the good thing also about our system is it can be completed by using either any type of computer, a tablet, or even on your smartphone. So those folks who don't have the access to a computer, the application can also be completed and documents uploaded into our system by using a smartphone. We're trying to make it as user-friendly and least barriers as possible. The program qualifications we have are those who are residents of Loudoun County. The important thing about this program is it's a COVID-19 related rental assistance program. So we do need to know that folks have suffered some sort of job loss or reducing job hours due to COVID. And they also need to be current on their payments for rent as of March 31st, 2020. Make sure that folks also have a current signed lease from the owner, landlord property manager. And the person who is applying for rental assistance needs to be on that lease. So some required information that any applicant will need to be able to provide. We need to know that there is some sort of proof of job loss, reduced hours. That can come from the previous employer, current employer. We also can have folks write a letter indicating that they have lost their hours from the organization, company, or individual they had worked for when that occurred on the date, and send that in. We need some sort of proof of residency that you live in Loudoun County. That could be a driver's license, utility bill, something that is an official document that indicates that you actually live at the location that you're asking for rental assistance with. Again, that current signed lease is important. We are asking for 3 months of bank statements. That's the 3 most current months. We're also asking that you provide what's called the rental account history. That's, for those of you who know, a ledger that needs to come from the landlord or from the property management company. In order for us to be able to pay for rental assistance, we need to have something called a W-9 form that needs to be completed by the landlord or property manager. That's essential for us to be able to have, so our financial department is able to actually pay for your rental assistance. So yeah, we do not pay individuals. We pay the landlord and the property manager, and that is sent on behalf of the applicant. We are able to provide up to 9 months of rental assistance. We will continue to operate this program as long as we have the funds available to do that. So folks who are needing rental assistance going backwards can absolutely apply, and we will look to be able to fund as many months as possible up to that 9 months. When a person does apply, one of the things we're looking for is on that ledger information or rental assistance, a rental history, is the number of months in which the person needs assistance. So with any information we're getting from the landlord, we want to know how many months that we're able to assist you. And again, we want to be able to continue this funding, knowing that the need is great. COVID-19 is continuing to impact our community. We want to make sure that we're able to provide rental assistance going forward. And as always, we're going to be able to provide it as long as the funding is available. So again, I've mentioned a lot about the website that you can go to. It is a wonderful website. Plenty of information that you can find out about the limited rental assistance program run through Family Services. On there is information that I've already presented here. Information also in a video that is in English and in Spanish, talking more about what the program is, qualifications, how to apply. The website also has the application that you can fill out and will be sent electronically right from the website, along with uploading any documentation or information that the program requires in order for you to apply to the program. We also would encourage folks who have questions about this program or have questions once they've applied to this program to contact our information and referral program. Again, there's the website information and also the phone number that people can call if they have questions or are looking to get some more information about their current application. Again, I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to present here today, knowing that COVID has impacted our region and knowing that our folks are going to be needing this kind of assistance going forward. And I appreciate everybody's willingness to kind of be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fran, for that information. We really appreciate it. Again, looking at the question pane, we don't have any new questions. So again, we'll refer folks to contact you as questions arise through that contact information you shared. I'd like to introduce our concluding presenter for the morning session, Amira Gonzalez. She is the Community Development Analyst with the Prince William County Office of Housing and Community Development.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm not sure if you were able to see my screen. Can you just confirm for me there?
Amira, I see the go to webinar screen. There it is. Oh,
you do see it. Great.
yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm here today with the Office of Housing and Community Development, and I want to share our Emergency Housing Assistance Program information with everyone, also known as EHAP. Our Emergency Housing Assistance Program, the purpose is to serve the households of Prince William County, the city of Manassas and Manassas Park, who have had financial hardship due to COVID-19. And we can help with a maximum of 6 months consecutive payments for mortgage or rental assistance, as well as utility assistance. Our program does provide the assistance directly to either the mortgage company or the management company, as well as to the utility companies on behalf of the applicant. For eligibility of the program, as I mentioned, applicants for the Prince William County program do need to live in either Prince William County, the city of Manassas, or Manassas Park. There also has to be a documentable income loss due to COVID-19 on or after March 31st. A few of the reasons this may have happened are listed on the project. And also, the household does need to fall at or below the current combined annual gross income. And I added a small chart. This is specifically for the metropolitan area. And so if you know your household size, for example, is 3 people, then you can see that the whole household income has to be at or below $71,650. And also, those are 3 general basic eligibility requirements. It's equally as important to submit a complete application. So when you provide your information, it needs to be complete information as well as all the documents that are being asked for. And so in order to apply, there's 3 methods. We encourage everyone, if possible, to please submit an online application or an electronic application. And you can do so by clicking on the link that can be reached through our general website. It's also the first option on our presentation. And we also have the option where you can visit our website, and if you don't want to do the online application, you can download the actual hard copy or paper application, print it out, you fill it out and add to it all of the required documents. And the third option, if you're just simply not able to complete an online application, if you're not able to download the application packet, you're welcome to call our office at the number listed, 703-792-7538. Let us know that you need the application and we can mail that to you. A couple of tips to keep in mind when applying for our program is to please just take note. Each page has its own directions letting you know what requirements need to be met, and just a couple of easy things to miss that I wanted to point out when the application asks for information or documents for all household members. Go ahead and provide that for everyone in the household. It doesn't matter if they're working, if they're on the lease or mortgage, if they're in the household, that information needs to be collected. Some requirements are just for adults. So if you see that something says all adults in the household, please make sure you provide the information or the documents for everyone in the household 18 years old or over, again, regardless of their income status, of whether they're on the lease or on the mortgage. And then right before you turn in your application, just take a moment to make sure that the documents that have been uploaded or provided are in fact what's being asked for. We have the occasion where someone thinks they uploaded their ID or a birth certificate, and in fact, it's a copy of a bill, and something like that can hold up your application because then at that point, it's not complete. So just in an effort to streamline the evaluation for you, just double check everything you're submitting and make sure it's what you're meaning to include. And just a last note that required documents should be provided for all household members. Some requirements are marked as required or may have an asterisk. These are required for everyone in the household. And then there's requirements that don't have an asterisk or may not have a label of required, but they are required as applicable. So just take a moment to read through the application. For example, when it asks for a mortgage statement, that may not apply to you. But then when it does ask for a complete lease agreement, that would apply to you. So you want to make sure to add that and ensure that your application is as complete as possible. So those were just 4 points that we see can sometimes hold up an application, but we hope that just mentioning these help you with the application process. And in a nutshell, that's our EHAP program. And we hope that you can visit our website, get all of the information you need. You're also welcome to visit our expo booth, which will have direct links to our website. It'll have flyers for other programs that are offered by the Prince William County Office of Housing and other resources that could be helpful. So thank you so much for joining us today, and just let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Amira. As at the close, we'd like to just give a few more seconds. If there's any questions out there, to please go ahead and enter them in. We can probably take a couple if there are some. Just as a reminder, the recording of this workshop will be broadcast on the Nova Housing Expo's Facebook page beginning at 2 p.m. this afternoon. Additionally, the recording will be made available at the Expo's website at novahousingexpo.org, and we'd invite you to like and share it with your friends and neighbors as well. Finally, throughout the course of the year, we'd certainly invite you to visit the virtual exhibit hall for the Nova Housing Expo on that website, novahousingexpo.org, where you will find each of our presenters' organizations having a virtual exhibit to include the information you've heard today, as well as other resources and information that you might find valuable in addressing housing. Seeing and hearing no additional questions, we'd like to thank each of our presenters who joined us for this last hour, and especially all of our attendees who took their time this morning to join us for the first workshop of the year for the 2021 Northern Virginia Housing Expo. And on behalf of our presenters, we would like to thank you for joining us and wish you a very pleasant afternoon. Thank you.